Kia ora everybody and welcome. I'm Jack Bissett, Policy Manager Sustainability Reporting at the External Reporting Board. Today I'm here with my boss, Amelia Sharman, Director Sustainability Reporting, to talk about climate-related disclosures. So Amelia, we're aware there's lots of interest at the moment in the 30+ climate statements that are now publicly available on the register. This is therefore a good time for us at the XRB to remind everybody that there are 3 climate standards, not just one. Our colleague Lisa spent a lot of time leading the development of our General Requirements Standard, otherwise known as NZCS3. So we're here today channeling our inner Lisas. Amelia, can you please give us a reminder of what is in NZCS3?
Kia ora, Jack. Well, yeah, great question. It's important to remember that they are a package of standards. And in a nutshell, NZCS3, which is that general requirement standard, is about the quality of the disclosures, enabling reporting that promotes trust, confidence, transparency, and accountability. The focus of the standard is on something called fair presentation. And so to achieve fair presentation in the context of climate-related disclosures, it lays out key principles about information and presentation to make the disclosures useful to primary users. And then as well as those principles, it addresses many general requirements. And these are topics like materiality, value chain, reporting period, etc. And so a really important thing to remember is that the general requirement standard should be read first and be referred to when applying the disclosure requirements in NZCS1 and not the other way around.
Thanks, Amelia. Okay, so can you quickly highlight for us some of those information principles starting at the top left there?
Of course. So these are going to be familiar to many preparers, but what we've tried to do is focus on how they apply in the context of climate-related disclosures. I'll just start with a couple of these. First, accuracy. This asks whether information is free from material error or misstatement. It's not to be confused with precision, however. Estimates are a normal and expected part of climate-related disclosures. And then comparability, which asks, does the information enable primary users to identify similarities in and differences among items? So comparability, therefore, is not just about comparing between different entities. It's also about comparing between different reporting periods of the same entity and points of reference, such as targets or baselines. And then we also have those presentation principles. I'll talk about balance. So balance asks, is the information free from bias or not manipulated to make it more likely that primary users will receive the information favourably or unfavourably? This one is obviously quite important in relation to greenwashing. So minimising climate-related risks or overstating opportunities should be avoided according to this principle. And then I'll also highlight coherence. So this asks whether the information is presented in a way that explains the context and relationships with other disclosures of the entity. And for example, it requires an entity to present information in a way that allows primary users to relate information about its climate-related risks and opportunities to the entity's financial statements.
Yeah, so these are principles most people will agree with then. But in practice, how do they work? Are there any aspects that entities should pay particular attention to?
I would definitely go look at the materiality definition and then apply that to these principles. So, for example, materiality requires additional disclosures if needed to meet the fair presentation overarching principle and some of those other, information and presentation principles. So it's really important to remember that these disclosures are not just a simple checklist, even though in the standards, it says an entity must disclose, et cetera. If, according to all of these principles and materiality, etc., an entity decides it needs to disclose more or information is not material, it needs, therefore, to disclose less. So it's really about getting to grips with the standard and applying it to your own facts and circumstances.
Okay, thanks. And to finish, can you please explain the other general requirements?
So as you can see in the list, there are several technical or general requirements an entity needs to stay across. I'll highlight just one, methods and assumptions. So an entity must provide a description of the methods and assumptions used to prepare their climate-related disclosures where they are not apparent, including limitations of those methods. So, and aspects of its disclosure that involve data and estimation uncertainty must also be identified. So I could go on and on. I love this standard. This is the one I say is the most important. But the main takeaway is that this general requirement standard is a really integral and crucial component of the package of climate standards. And my action for those watching is to download it, read the standard carefully, and just to get in touch with us if you have any questions.
Thank you, Amelia. Hope everybody found this walkthrough webcast useful. Have a great day. Ka kite.
Ka kite.